Hello guys, this video we will talk something about the VLAN basic practice guide. And about this video, the left part is the simulator. I use the simulator to show you how to do the configuration. And about the right one is the practice guide. So if you have the same topology maybe on the real devices, maybe use a simulator, you also can do the practice according to the guide or maybe according to the video. Okay? So first, let's see this practice and what's the background. If now a company has about 40 employees in total, and in order to allow employees to connectively work and search for information to the internet, the company deploys a network in the office area. So I think this also is very basic requirement on the real network. And now we hope that in order to keep the network stability and the security of service data between different departments, for example, we have finance department, we have IT department, or maybe others. And now we hope all the departments can be used to isolated between different layer 2 broadcast domain. So in order to meet the requirement, we will use a technology we call it VLAN. Okay, so this is the background. And about the lab purpose, let's say, after finish the practice, we hope that you can learn about and master the application scenarios of VLAN technology because we already know the principle of the VLAN. And the second one, we have to master the basic configuration of the VLAN. And next one, this picture is a topology, and one switch connect with 4 pieces. The left one for the finance department, and about the right one for the IT department. And of course, on the left part, I add more parameters on the simulator because later when we down to check the other command, you will forget some parameters like the IP address, like the VLAN ID, something like this. So I already add everything in the topology, includes the PC IP address, what's the gateway, and what's the VLAN of 2 departments. So this is the topology. And about this lab, the requirement, we have 4. The first one, the switch is a switch on the flow on the companies, right? Because this is a basic one, so now we make the terminals directly to connect with one switch. And divide into 2 departments, one for finance and another one for the IT. And the PC of finance department IP segment is 192.168.1.0/24. And about the IT department, the segment is 192.168.2.0/24. So this is the IP plan of the terminals. And about the third one, as shown in the picture, we want that different departments belong to different VLANs, right? And of course, besides the IP address of PC, we also add the gateway of the PC. And we don't give the gateway address on these network devices. So on this practice, you only give the IP address and the gateway of the terminals is enough. Okay. And the fourth one is we have to use a VLAN technology meets the requirement. And about the VLAN ID of the finance department is VLAN 10. About the IT department, the VLAN is 20. So there are 4 requirements. And in order to meet the requirements, we have to do some configuration. And about the configuration ideals, we have to plan 2 VLANs. We already talked about this before. And also we have to give the IP address. And what's the detailed IP address, I already add on the topology. If you do the practice according to the guide, you also can see the detailed parameters here. The PC IP address, Left one PC1 is 1.1 and about the PC2 is 1.2. So if you want, now we want to meet the requirement, we have to add some configuration, right? Now let's begin to do the practice. About this topology here are the key commands. About the simulator, first of course you have to add the nodes, include the switch, include the PCs, and then you can add some parameters like the IP address and the VLAN. Of course, if you don't add this parameter, you still can work. And then you have to add the link to connect with each other. Then you have to start the devices. And how to start it? Maybe you can right-click to start one by one, or maybe you can directly start all nodes here. For example, if all the interface to become green, that means now the link is working. And the first one, we have to add the configuration of the switch, right? And about the switch, how to do the configuration, right-click and then to choose the web console. Because this also we add some image of the devices, we still have to wait several seconds and to let the devices start successfully. And you can enter, then you will direct to enter the devices. This is the first page of the switch. And then you can use the command enable to enter the other configuration page. Enable. If you don't know the full command, it doesn't matter. You can use the bottom of tab and enter, because this is the first time you use the device. Depends on your real devices. Maybe some devices the enable password is default configuration, and on the simulator you have to give the enable password. And if you already set before, then the next step is you have to give the enable password. For example, I already set it before. The password is Ruijie123 dot. And enter. Then this is a global configuration. This is the next page of the devices. And how to create the VLAN, you have to enter the configuration command, configuration appearance, and then to add the command. And how to enter the configuration, the command is config terminal and enter. Yes. Now here it will show you enter the configuration command, and then you can create VLAN 10, right? To create the VLAN 10, and then you can give the name for the finance department. Name for finance department. Okay, so this is a name. Of course, about this command, if you don't add the command, it also can work. It's better for us to do the operation and the maintenance. Maybe if you don't add this command, you only know VLAN 10. But if you add this one, you will know the VLAN 10 is used for the finance department. And then you have to create VLAN 20, right? You have to exist and directly to use the command VLAN 20 and give the name is IT department. Okay, and at this step I use one button for the up. You can direct to see some history command, and then you can save some time to do the configuration here. Okay, and then exist. So now you create the VLAN successfully. And then we already talked some basic interface type on the principal video, right? Now, because about this switch, we use 4 interfaces to connect with the terminals. So the interface type is access. So you have to make all the interface to become access, and then to make the native VLAN, we also can call PVID to become VLAN 10 or VLAN 20. Then they can visit with each other. So how to make the configuration? And here I also show you the detailed command on the practice guide. You can directly to make multiple interfaces to give the native VLAN, or maybe you can directly add enter one interface, another interface, the third one, the fourth one, and to change the parameters one by one. It also can work. So now we use the way is directly to enter the range, multiple interface to give the same configuration here. Gigabit 0/122. You directly add the following command on two interface, gigabit 0/1 and /2. Okay, and then you have to switch the interface access to become VLAN 10. Okay, now your interface 1 and 2 are ready to become VLAN 10. And pay attention about this part, because about the access configuration, actually the first command should be change the interface type to become access at first. But depends on your real devices. If your device's default interface type is access, then you can directly to change the native VLAN. They use the same command like my operation. Otherwise, you have to change it to become access at first. Okay. Now we have to add the VLAN to become the REST interface. Interface range to become gigabit 0/3 to 4, and then switch ports access to become VLAN 20. Right? Now you do all the configuration. Then you can use the command to check exist to show VLAN. Then you will find here totally we have 3 VLANs, VLAN 1, VLAN 10, and VLAN 20. And the second line is the name. About the VLAN 1, this is the default VLAN. Maybe the first time you start the device, the VLAN 1 exists, and you can add some interface into the VLAN 1, but you cannot delete the VLAN 1. Pay attention about this one. Okay. And the status is static because we create manually. And now which interface located on the VLAN 10 or VLAN 20. So about the VLAN configuration, it's very easy, right? And the next step, now we have 4 PCs. And each of PC you have to give the IP address. Of course, here I will directly to let you give the gateway address. But pay attention, in your real network, if PC1 and PC2 want to communicate with each other and they belong to the same IP segment, there is no need for the gateway address. But if you want the PC in different IP segment and then still can communicate with each other successfully, you have to add the gateway address. So pay attention about this part. And later, let's see how to give the IP address of the PC. Also, same, you have to right-click and then to choose the web console. Then you have to give the IP address. The command is here on the practice guide. IP is a key command. Then gives the next parameter is the IP address 192.168.1.1. And then the mask is 255.255.255.0. And the next parameter is a gateway 192.168.1.254. Okay, by the simulator, we will do the tracking for duplicate address. Okay, they will send out some parameter, some package like the ARP message to check that there are someone use the same IP address with me or not. Then this is a configuration of PC1, and we can add the same configuration of the PC2. IP 192.168.1.2, the mask also is same. 255.255.255.0, and the gateway is 192.168.1.254. Okay, and about the PC3, let's see. IP address 192.168.2.1 0 2.55 4. Okay, there's some mistake of the configuration. Okay, because IP address is a configuration of the network devices, so we can delete. Okay, now also successful. Then let's check about the PC4. Okay, also is same, right? After we add the configuration successfully, then we can check the result. Let's say the first one we have to check the PC located in the same VLAN, they can communicate with each other successfully. For example, PC1 can ping PC2 successfully. 192.168.1.2. Enter. Right, this result means ping successfully. And about PC3, also can ping for PC4 successfully. 2.168.2.2. Enter. Also is correct, right? Okay, now we can check that the PC in the same VLAN, they can communicate with each other and use a layer 2 switch forwarding principle according to the MAC address table. But in this scenario, if you want to do the configuration between different segments, for example, the PC1 and the PC3, can they wait with each other successfully or not? Let's check. Now on the PC1, we use the command ping 192.168.2.2 to the 1. This is the IP address of PC3, right? Let's ping. Okay, we will find the result, the host not reachable. That's because now we already add the gateway of the PC, right? And the PC will ask the gateway to help us for the message between different segments. But the problem is, in our network, we don't have the gateway. So here is the key configuration of the next part, the key point of the lab, gateway address. We have to add the gateway in our network. Then the gateway can help us to forward the message. So how to add the gateway and who will be the gateway? The switch 1 will be the gateway on our network. So we have to enter the switch 1. And we use the VLAN in our network, and we can make the switch to become layer 3 switch. Of course, in your real network, your devices have to support the layer 3 parameters at first. Otherwise, the layer 2 switch cannot work to support this function. And then we have to create the layer 3 interface. About the switch, we have two types of layer 3 interface. One, you can make the physical interface to change the mode to become layer 3 and then give the IP address. The second option is like the practice guide. You can create multiple VLAN interface. This VLAN interface is a layer 3 interface and then give the IP address. So like the practice guide, the command is enter the VLAN interface, VLAN 10. Then here is a warning to show you because now you create the layer 3 interface. And about the layer 3 interface, we have two status, one for the physical status and another one for the layer 3 status. Because this VLAN interface is a logical interface, when you create and then maybe some physical interface can help you to force the VLAN 10 message, then the state will become up. And the next step, you have to give the IP address. IP address to become the gateway, right? 192.168.1.254, and the mask is 24. So this is a configuration of VLAN 10. And then you can continue to create VLAN 20. Also gives the IP address for 192.168.2.254. The max is 24. Okay. After you finish add the configuration on the switch, then you can check you create the interface successfully or not. Show IP interface brief. Then you will find here you will have VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 and what's the IP address and what's the mask. And now the status is up. The protocol status also is up. Then you check on the PC1, use the up button, pin 2.1 again. You will find that the result PC1 and PC3 can ping each other successfully. And of course, if you want to test the ping with PC4 2.2, the same result, right? So this is a key point. When you have to use a gateway, if the PC want to communicate with different IP segments, in this scenario, we need the gateway. Of course, the key point on your configuration is some network devices have to give the IP address same with the gateway of the PC. Like this topology, we add the IP address of the switch in the VLAN interface and give the IP address same with the gateway. The VLAN 10 interface IP address is the gateway of the PC1 and PC2. And about the VLAN interface 20, we give the IP address is same with the gateway of PC3 and PC4. Then PC1 and 3, they can communicate with each other. Because we have the layer 3, we have the routing information. PC1 and PC2 or PC3 and PC4, they can wait with each other because of the layer 2 function. So this is the key point of the switch. This is the first practice of the VLAN lab guide, basic guide. So if you have the real devices or maybe you have simulator, please follow me to do the practice on your scenario. Thank you.